We know with the Trump administration, big part of their campaign was to restore the integrity of institutions that have become hopelessly politicised. That was an election issue. We know trust in these institutions is at record low. And one of the examples, Sarah, is that we still know so very little about the assassination attempts against President Trump. He doesn't even know what's happened.
They're all saying it was like a couple of nut jobs.
Do you believe that?
I don't know. You know, the one person had 18 telephones. I have a lot of phones, but that's like 3.
Yeah.
And they're made for special reasons. I don't know what to believe. I'll be honest, it has not been explained to me perfectly by either Secret Service or the FBI. We have somebody, 2 good people running that. And I would like to hear the explanation. Yeah. Even if it's not released to the public, I should be allowed to hear it.
Amen.
Sarah, what is happening with these investigations? How can we know so little after all this time?
Well, I mean, Rita, I think the answer is clear because they don't want to become public, so they bury it. I mean, when this first assassination attempt came out and we had this lone shooter, this young man, didn't have very many friends, went to a gun range where we knew that government officials frequented, coincidentally enough, and you heard his story and you heard that he had these encrypted accounts on his phone and then all of a sudden you heard nothing else. He was connected to all of these foreign accounts and nothing else about it. And so the problem here, Rita, is that we are dealing with a deep state bureaucracy where the rot just goes so far deep. And unfortunately, in this country, we have an election in November, and then we have the rest of November, we have December, and then we have the better part of January where all of these deep state actors can do whatever they want to clean stuff up. And so I fear that we never will get the full truth of this man. But I mean, you mean to tell me these same government officials who could track who was in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021, who was even in the vicinity of Washington, D.C. on that day, couldn't actually find any more information out about either of these assassination attempts? I don't buy it, Rita, and neither does the rest of America.
Well, that's why trust in these institutions has plummeted, because some of this stuff beggars belief. We've seen the rise of leftist violence across the US for a number of years now, and some of these attacks are even impacting Democrats. The governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro's home was attacked, and the suspect, who has said he planned to use a hammer to beat the governor if he encountered him, he's admitted this attack was motivated by Shapiro's stance on Palestine. Sarah, what else can you tell me about this assailant?
Well, I mean, Rita, show me a violent radical and show me a Democrat, because they are one and the same these days. It's every single time you have these assailants who are motivated because the Democrats have gone out and they have intentionally riled people up. They tell people to take to the streets. They tell people to get up in Trump voters' faces. They tell people to get violent. And no one should be shocked that all of these radicals who are listening to the likes of Jasmine Crockett and AOC and all of these leftist leaders, we shouldn't be shocked that they are actually following through with this. I mean, we have in this country record levels of anti-Semitic tone, of anti-Semitic rhetoric. And you have, unfortunately, too many useful idiots in this country who are listening to it, who are amped up by the rhetoric, and they're moved to, quote, do something, even though it's, of course, the wrong thing to do. And so, of course, we have personal accountability that needs to be had in this particular situation. But there are just far too many people in this country who are quite comfortable going out and saying and then acting upon very, very violent rhetoric. And, personal accountability, sure, but I would say that the Democrats' rhetoric has a lot to do with the rise and the uptick in this violence.
Oh, absolutely. And they've normalised this anti-Semitism. Shapiro should have been the VP candidate for Kamala Harris, yes, but because he's Jewish, because he's pro-Israel, served in the IDF, they didn't want to go there, and they put up Tim Walz, possibly the worst VP candidate in history. But that just shows you how deep the anti-Semitism is running in the American left. It's not on the fringes anymore. The Democrats have also become preoccupied with Trump's deportation strategy, something that is actually very popular. And even the deportation of gangbangers to El Salvador is causing them concerns. They're particularly focused on one case, an illegal immigrant from El Salvador, an MS-13 gang member who is right now sitting in a mega prison in El Salvador. But Democrat Chris Van Hollen is determined to bring him home.
I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home.
Well, I would have thought he was already home. He's from El Salvador. Sarah, he's in El Salvador now, Chris Van Hollen. But this man who voted against the Laken-Riley Act, he's not having much luck getting access to this prisoner.
Yeah, who would have thought that you could come to El Salvador totally unannounced and show up and knock on the door and say, hey, Bukele, could you please let me into your Supermax facility? I'd really like to talk to one of these prisoners. This guy knew exactly what he was doing. It was a total political stunt for optics and for attention. And I would just also like to point out, he did vote against the Laken-Riley Act. He also has yet to utter the name Rachel Morin, who is a woman from Maryland who was beat to death by an illegal immigrant. She was beat to death so badly that her mother said that all of the law enforcement had to shield these pictures from her family because it was so graphic and so horrific. Interestingly enough, that man never uttered the word Rachel Morin or the name Rachel Morin in his entire career, and yet wants to go out on a limb for these illegal criminals. Look, I would encourage all of these Democrats to continue trying to lift up all of these illegals that Americans voted in November and said, we are tired of this. We want these people to go home. And I would just like to add, President Trump is still waiting for a thank you from this man for sending him on a free trip back to his home country. You're welcome. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and also you're welcome, America.
Now, Sarah, the Trump administration, Stephen Miller, has pled with the media to care as much about Americans killed by illegal immigrants as they care about illegal immigrants.
There's 15 million illegal aliens that violently enter the country. If every one of them got the trial that you're asking for, it would take us centuries to remove them. Centuries.
And that's the point here. If they to observe all these legal challenges, the entire deportation program is undermined and becomes unworkable. And it seems like that is the plan that the Democrats have got underway. They want to make this too difficult to execute.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I mean, you have these people who, my argument would be that the Constitution was meant for American citizens. And so therefore due process was meant for American citizens. And if you come into this country and you commit crimes, you are not afforded due process. You can be removed and deported at any time. There is no court hearing that should be necessary for America to keep ourselves safe. But on top of that, you have these illegal criminals who should not have been here in the first place, like the Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who we just referenced, who just now we find out today from the Department of Homeland Security, he had a restraining order from his wife several years ago from beating her, from grabbing her, from bruising her, from ripping her shirt off. These are not good people. And the fact that the Democrats want to go above and beyond to continue to bring them back into our country is, quite frankly, treasonous behavior, in my opinion. They are working day in and day out to make America less safe. And they're bragging about it in the mainstream media. The fact that these people have so little self-awareness that they think that this is going to play well in front of the American people, who again just voted and said, we are done with this open borders lawlessness. We need safety, we need security, and we need President Trump. It is not going to play out well in front of the American people.
No, they're slow learners. The media gives them a very good run indeed, because the media is on the same page as they are. But for the great majority of Americans, the more the Democrats talk about this issue, the more they know that they can't be trusted in government. If you can't protect a country's borders, then you are not fit for office. Now, I'm going to play you some footage here. This is footage a distraught father took of his 3-year-old during their daily walk in San Francisco. This is their neighbourhood. They'd just come back from 2 weeks away, and this is what greeted them on their doorstep. The father said our politicians are not serious people. Lock these drug dealers up and mandate jail or rehab now. Sarah, that poor kid witnessing those scenes, it is disturbing. But as the father explained, this is outside their door. If they want to go outside and go for a walk, this is what confronts them. And we are seeing that just not in San Francisco, but so many of these blue cities where they have this very permissive attitude to drug use.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned the correlation there is that these are all blue cities. These are all Democrat-run cities, not just for the last several years, but for the last several decades. These places have been run by Democrats, and this is the end result of Democrat policies. A little girl, 3 years old, who has no business watching what's in front of her, seeing all of these drug users right in front of her, horrific, just stealing her innocence because of Democrat policies to go easy on drug use, on homelessness, on crime, on all of it. Now, my hope is that this father, I mean, of course, I don't know him. I don't know how he voted, but oftentimes these people who live in these blue cities are voting for the very same policies that got them into the mess in the first place. And so my hope is that that father will at least acknowledge and understand the error of San Francisco's ways and do what he can to stop it, or bare minimum, get his daughter, pack her up and get her the hell out of San Francisco before it's too late.
But don't move to a state like Texas and then vote for the very same policies that have seen San Francisco reduced to that. That's part of the problem, because sometimes, yes, Texas is full. Yeah, well, if you're going to come from California, I think, there should be perhaps 10 years when you're not allowed to vote, just until you understand perhaps why Texas works and California is a mess. Sara Gonzales, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.